WWE shocker, Batista and Brock Lesnar team up in the most unexpected moment ever. The WWE Universe is still reeling after what unfolded last night. A moment so brutal, so unexpected, so downright surreal that fans may never look at Monday Night Raw the same way again. It all started innocently enough, with Seth Rollins celebrating another hard-fought victory, standing tall in the ring with his allies Braun and Paul Heyman at his side. But just as everything seemed under control, something happened that nobody saw coming. A moment that changed everything. Seth Rollins, Braun and Paul Heyman, the self-proclaimed rulers of WWE, never saw it coming, and neither did the fans. In this video, we're diving deep into the shocking turn of events that will forever be etched in WWE history. This is not just another storyline, not just another twist. This is an event that sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. So buckle up, because things just got real. The camera zooms in on Seth Rollins, who is grinning ear to ear, the WWE Championship belt slung over his shoulder. His arrogance fills the arena as he basks in the cheers of the crowd. Behind him, Braun stands, muscular, intense, and every bit the powerhouse Rollins had promised to back him up with. And in the shadows, standing ever so smugly, is Paul Heyman. This trio has been dominating WWE for months now. Rollins, the architect of chaos, who has somehow bent the WWE Universe to his will. Breakker, the powerhouse who seems unstoppable, the embodiment of a new era in WWE. And Heyman, the mastermind who's always been one step ahead of everyone, carefully orchestrating every move. Together, they formed a unit that no one dared to challenge. They'd been untouchable, until last night. Seth Rollins took the microphone, confidently boasting about his latest victory. His words were dripping with arrogance as he thanked his incredible team for their dominance. The crowd, although cheering, could sense something was off. Rollins had been on top for so long, and it felt like he was beginning to get too comfortable, too complacent. It was as if he was daring something to come along and disrupt his perfect world. And then, without any warning, it all changed. Out of nowhere, the arena was plunged into complete darkness. No flash of lights. No countdown. No warning at all. Just blackness. The WWE Universe was confused. The fans tried to adjust, wondering what was going on, but all they could hear were the distant murmurs of confusion. And then, the first beat of a familiar theme song echoed through the arena. The crowd froze. It took a moment for the realization to sink in, but when it did, it was like a bomb had gone off. Batista's music. The unmistakable sound of "The Animal" was back in WWE. The Titantron lit up, flames shot across the screen, and the words, "The Animal," appeared in bold letters. The audience went from stunned silence to absolute chaos. Could it be? Was it really him? And then, there he was. Batista, the six-time world champion, the former leader of Evolution, the Hollywood megastar, stepping onto the stage with an intensity like never before. He wasn't there for nostalgia. There was no smile. No wave to the crowd. No posing. Just pure, unfiltered rage in his eyes. Batista, a man who had been absent from WWE for years, had just made his shocking return. But his message was clear: he wasn't back to make friends. He was back to make a statement. As the crowd processed the magnitude of Batista's return, something else happened. A second music hit. The fans, already at a fever pitch, nearly exploded when the unmistakable sound of Brock Lesnar's music blared throughout the arena. Brock Lesnar. The Beast incarnate. The Conqueror. The most dangerous man in WWE history. The building nearly collapsed under the roar of the crowd as Lesnar walked down to the ring, his cold, menacing stare locked on Seth Rollins and Braun. For the first time ever, these two monstrous forces, Batista and Brock Lesnar, were standing side by side. The arena was deafening. Fans were standing, jaws dropped, as they watched this moment unfold before their very eyes. The two biggest monsters in WWE history, Batista and Brock Lesnar, united, standing together on the stage. It was a sight that no one could have predicted. Batista's eyes never left Rollins as he slowly made his way down the ramp, his steps purposeful, as if he was ready to tear everything apart. Brock Lesnar followed, his expression stoic, his body language menacing. He didn't need to say a word. His presence alone was enough to send chills down the spine of anyone watching. Seth Rollins, who had been so confident just moments before, now found himself looking up at these two colossal figures. Braun Breaker stood beside him, his fists clenched, as if trying to ready himself for what was coming. But it was clear, this was no ordinary challenge. This was something far beyond anything Rollins and Breaker could have anticipated. Paul Heyman, the mastermind behind the entire operation, stood in the background, looking on in shock. For the first time, even he didn't seem to have control of the situation. What was his role in this? Was he responsible for bringing these legends together? Or had even Paul Heyman's scheming gone too far? The tension in the air was palpable. The crowd chanted, "This is awesome," and "Holy sh****, as they realized the magnitude of what was happening. Two of the most iconic figures in WWE history, with careers that spanned decades, were now united. And they weren't just here to celebrate. They weren't here to play. They were here to destroy. Batista and Lesnar stood side by side in the ring, glaring down at Rollins, Breaker, and Heyman. But it wasn't just a stare-off, it was a message. Batista spoke first, his voice low and full of anger. "I didn't come back for nostalgia, Rollins," Batista said, his voice carrying through the arena. "I came back because you've made this company your playground, but you've forgotten something. The animal is back, and I'm taking it all back." The fans erupted. But before Rollins could respond, Lesnar grabbed the microphone from Batista's hand. His voice was calm, but the menace behind his words was unmistakable. "Rollins, Breaker, Heyman, you've played your games long enough. Now it's time to face the consequences." Rollins, still trying to maintain his confidence, tried to step forward, but Braun Breaker quickly placed a hand on his chest, signaling that something wasn't quite right. Even Breaker could sense that this wasn't just another fight to win. This was a war. And in this war, Rollins had just made the biggest mistake of his career. What happened next was nothing short of chaos. Brock Lesnar and Batista, in a unified attack, went straight for Rollins and Breaker. The two behemoths unleashed a brutal assault, tossing Breaker around like a ragdoll and launching Rollins with ease. The arena was shaking from the force of their strikes, the sound of every blow echoing through the building. In a matter of seconds, Rollins and Breaker were both down on the mat, struggling to get up. Batista stood over Rollins, staring down at him with a look of disgust, while Lesnar circled Breaker, ready to strike again. Paul Heyman, who had been the architect of Rollins' reign, stood motionless, unsure of how to handle this new threat. For the first time, it seemed like Paul Heyman was powerless. The moment lasted only a few minutes, but it felt like an eternity. Batista and Lesnar stood tall in the ring, their eyes locked on the fallen champions. They hadn't just attacked, they had sent a message. The era of Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman was over. The new era, one led by Batista and Brock Lesnar, was beginning. The WWE Universe is still buzzing from what went down last night. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman have been left in ruins. But what happens next? For the first time in years, two legends, Batista and Brock Lesnar, are aligned. The question now is, what's next for Rollins and Breaker? How will Heyman respond? And most importantly, what does this mean for WWE as a whole? One thing is for certain, nothing will ever be the same again. As we try to process the monumental events from last night, one thing is clear, WWE just became a whole lot more dangerous. And for Rollins, Breaker, and Heyman, the fight is just beginning. Stay tuned, because this is far from over. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the fallout from this monumental moment in WWE history. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one. Until next time, this is Wrestling News CC signing off.